الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم ولا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم. So we're starting inshallah new subject, a new surat. Today we're going to start about Surat Baqara inshallah, and we're going to speak about a particular approach of understanding Quran. Is that when we read Quran, very often it speaks about the subject, the topic, then it goes to another topic, then another topic, then another topic, and we don't see a link between all these subjects. So it is not possible that Allah Ta'ala speaks to us in a manner that is not organized, that is just a mixture of different subjects. You see, if any one of us would be speaking and mixing, going from one subject to another with no link, we would say, what's wrong with this guy? What's he talking about? It doesn't make sense, you see. So when we read Quran and it goes from a topic to another and we don't see any link between the two topics, it means that we have not understood what Allah Ta'ala wants to tell us. And it seems to us as if there's no link, there's no logic, and that's not possible. So we must think and search and meditate to understand what is the link, what is the logic, why is this surat like this, why do we have all these subjects one next to another. Okay, so we're going to study this subject through Surat Baqara. This is the longest surat in Quran, and it has plenty of different subjects, isn't it? Speaks of plenty of different things. So what is the logic behind this surah? Why not make one surah for salat, one surah for sawm, for hajj, for jihad, for talaq, because all these topics are there. One surah for munafiqeen, etc. Okay, so this is the approach we're going to take for Surah Baqarah. So what is going to give us the understanding of Surah Baqarah is the context. Before that, yes, we're going to do it in two sessions. So the first session, we're going to speak of 5 stories in Surah Baqarah where Allah brings the dead back to life. So we have to divide the subject in two. So we're going to start by this first part in Surah Baqarah. In Surah Baqarah, there are 5 stories where Allah Ta'ala brings the dead back to life. It's ajib when you think about it. In just this one surah, in 5 totally different stories, Allah brings the dead back to life. So the first story is the surah of the Baqarah, of the cow. And what was that story? In Banu Israel, someone was killed, and they didn't know who murdered him. So they came to see Musa alayhi salam and told him, ask your God to show us who killed this man. And Musa alayhi salam told them, Allah is telling you to kill a cow. قالوا أتتخذنا هزؤا. They said, are you making fun of us? We are asking you who killed this man. You are telling us to kill a cow. That has nothing to do. We're asking you who killed this man. قال أعوذ بالله أن أكون من الجاهلين. He said, may Allah protect us to be in ignorance. I'm not here to make jokes with you. I'm here to tell you what Allah has told you to do. I'm a prophet. I'm not going to tell you kill a cow and I just wanted to have some barbecue. That's just he's the guy who just for fun. I'm telling you. And that's how Banu Israel had no respect for their prophets. Speaking to them like you'll speak to any friend that will tell, come, I need you. No, it's just for a joke. I know that you're just a man who likes playing with me. No, I'm busy, I'm not coming. You can speak maybe with your friend like that, but how can you say such words to a prophet? So they said, okay, which cow? He said that Allah is telling you a cow that's not too old, not too young. قال إنه يقول إنها بقرة لا فارض ولا بكر عوالم بين ذلك. يعني average, a cow that gives milk, not too young that she didn't have a calf yet, and not too old that she cannot give birth and she does not have any. This is very simple condition. A normal cow that gives milk. So they said, and he said, فَفْعَلُوا مَا تُؤْمَرُونَ. Do what you are asked to do. Go ahead, do it. They said, no. Which color? So now he said, it is a yellow cow, beautiful. It's a pleasure to watch it. This condition is a bit more complicated. So they searched, they got a few yellow cows, and they came back to Musa and said, you must ask Allah which one it is, because we found many, we don't know which one Allah wants. And this is all problems they are making up from their mind. There was no need for any of these questions. So I said, okay, it's a cow, that is not enslaved, that does not work the earth, it's not taking for to work the ground. ولا لا تسقي الحرث موسى قال انه يقول الى بقر لا ذلول تثير الارض ولا تسقي الحرث. It does not work the ground, it does not take the water out of the well, and it's yellow, does not have any dots in it, no brown, no black, no nothing, pure yellow. Now this condition has become very special, and now they only found one cow that has these conditions. And this cow had a story, it belonged to a pious man, and Allah Ta'ala revealed to him that you have to keep this cow, you don't make it work, you just make ikram, and you take care of this cow, and one day you're going to sell it with its skin full of gold. So they came to this man, they said, we want to buy this cow. He said, fine, the price is the skin full of gold. It's impossible, this is just a cow. He said, yes, but that is the price. You can take it or leave it. And they had no choice but to pay that incredible price just for a cow. And when that happened, and they had to pay that price, they said, الآن جئت بالحق. They said, now you have said the truth. Subhanallah. But they said to Musa, and he said, now you have said the truth, because now we know this is a very special cow. This is the cow Allah wants. That means what you were telling us from the beginning was just rubbish. It is only now that you have said the truth. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. So they slaughtered it. And when they slaughtered it, Musa took the tongue and hit the person, and the person stood up and he said, he has killed me. It was his nephew who killed him to take his inheritance. And then he lied back down, he was dead again. Okay? So this is what Allah says, كَذَلِكَ يُحْيِي اللَّهُ الْمَوْتَى وَيُرِيكُمْ آيَاتِهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ. That's how Allah brings the dead back to life and shows you His signs, so you'll understand. This is the first story. The second story is still with Banu Israel. When they crossed the sea and Fir'aun was drowned, when they reached the other side, they found people worshipping idols. قالوا يا موسى اجعل لنا إلها كما لهم آلهة. Oh Musa, give us an idol like they have idols. We also want an idol like that so we can worship. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. So Musa got very cross. What are you saying? These people they worship is rubbish. It's worth nothing. All they do is go to Jahannam. Allah has preferred you, given you so many gifts. Allah has saved you from Fir'aun. You have seen the miracles, yet you want to go back. So they left. They went. And when they went, and Musa Allah called him for 40 days in the mountain, so they did the calf of gold and they worshipped him. So just needed that Musa to go, so they will do the idol. You see, what was in their mind? It was just what that they wanted. And when Musa came back, and Allah Ta'ala gave him the commandments, Allah Ta'ala graved them in the rock. So no one can say that you have written this with your hand, or it is from Allah. And Musa was so angry, he threw that away. Because you are worshipping idol. Do you need any commandments of Allah? You don't need anything. Why should we tell you not to do zina or this or that when you are worshipping an idol? So he was very cross. Anyway, they accepted, they repented. And Allah said, now, what's going to happen? You're going to kill each other. So Allah sent the darkness in the day. It became like night. And they had the order to kill one another. So they were killing each other, until Musa cried to Allah, Ya Allah, there will be no more Banu Israel if this continues. Yeah, it's enough. So Allah removed the darkness, the day came back. Well, maybe it was a moon thing. Eclipse. Maybe it was an eclipse. Anyway, that's how it's narrated. And Allah said, okay, those who died, they have paid for the others. And then Musa told them, okay, I was in the mountain, Allah spoke to me. They said, what? Allah spoke to you, we can't believe this. We want Allah to speak to us also. And Musa alayhi chose 70 of the best of them from the 12 tribes to go with him up the mountain and to listen to the words of Allah. So they went, and Allah spoke to them. And when Allah spoke to them, they said, no, we have to see him. وَإِذْ قُلْتُمْ يَا مُوسَى لَنْ نُؤْمِنَ لَكَ حَتَّى نَرَى اللَّهَ جَهْرًا. When you said, hey Musa, we will not believe you until we see Allah clearly. Not half or hidden or no, clear, must be clear. فَأَخَذَتْكُمُ الصَّاعِقَةُ وَأَنْتُمْ تَنْظُرُونَ. So the thunder killed them. They all died. And Musa alayhi went crying to Allah, Ya Allah, I have chosen the 70 best ones to listen to you, to witness for the others to believe. Now I'm going to go back alone. I'll tell them they're all dead. No one's going to follow me. And Musa alayhi cried to Allah until Allah brought them back to life. ثُمَّ بَعَثْنَاكُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِ مَوْتِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. Then we sent you back to life after your death so that you may be grateful. So this is the second story in Surah Baqara where Allah brings the dead back to life. Okay? And we're going to continue still with Ben Israel until we reach the third story, inshallah. So, So then they came down from the mountain and they said, yes, we have gone into the mountain. Allah has spoken to us, but we asked to see him, and Allah killed us. But then Allah had pity on us, and Allah had brought us back to life, and here we are, and this is true. So then Musa said, okay, so I said that Allah has spoken to me, and Allah has given me the commandments, because when we were under Fir'aun, we were under the rule of Fir'aun, we were his slaves. Now that we are free, we are our own community, Allah has given us our laws, our orders, that laws of Allah that we shall follow. And here it is, Allah has engraved it in the rock. So everybody can see that this is from Allah. No one else has done this. And when they saw the laws, they said, no, this is too difficult. We cannot accept these laws. This is too difficult for us. You have to change this. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. So Allah Ta'ala took the mountain of two on top of their heads, like a cloud, and told them, now you're going to accept these orders, or we're going to squash you under the mountain. When we took the mountain on top of them like a cloud, you're going to take what we have given you strongly. They said, okay, in this situation we accept. That's how they accepted the commandments. And then Musa alayhi told them, okay, now we go to Palestine. That is our destination. Your motherland of your ancestors of Yaqub and Ibrahim alayhi salam and Yusuf. They said, no. There are people there that are very strong. We cannot fight them. They must leave first. Then after that we will come. And two believers told them, no, you must make tawakkul on Allah. Put your faith in Allah and go there. If you go, Allah will give you victory. They said, really? Allah is going to give us victory. So why don't you go, you and your Allah, and get the victory, and when you finish, call us. Does Allah need us? Allah is going to give victory. Go ahead, you and Allah, do the victory. Then we're going to come. Just do it for us first. So Musa cried to Allah, Ya Allah, I have no authority. I can't do nothing about this. What can I do with these people? So Allah Ta'ala condemned them to go astray in the desert for 40 years. And they took a route, they got lost, they kept on getting lost for 40 years. In these 40 years, Allah was sending them a cloud to follow them, to protect them from the sun all the time. Every morning they will find al-manna or salwa. Salwa is birds. I don't know how to say it in English. And the man is a liquid from paradise, which is like honey. So they had their food every day, and they had the cloud to follow them, and they were going. And as they were having this food, they said, Allah is giving us food because we are good Muslim, good practicing. If we ever do the sins, this food is going to go. So they said, Musa, we prefer you ask Allah to give us some onions and things and all these crops that come from the ground, that's where we will trust that things will not be cut out from us. He said, okay, go to such place and you get. So after those 40 years, generation has changed. Musa alayhi salam died, Harun alayhi salam died, and a new prophet was there, new generation. After 40 years, things have changed. Those who lived under the slavery, they're gone, except those who were small at that time. So now it is the people who grew up and lived in the desert. So they were ready for jihad. And they asked Musa, they asked their prophet that we want to go to, we don't want to stay in the desert anymore. We want to go there in Palestine and fight, get our land back. And anyway, they kept on, not accepting, and the number reduced at the end. They did a war and they won. And Dawood alayhi salam, so the king, the chief of the Jews was Talut, and the chief of the Kafirs was Jalut. And Dawood alayhi salam was a soldier of Talut, and Dawood killed Jalut. وَقَتَلَ دَاوُودُ جَالُوتَ. And Dawood killed the king of the Kafirs, and Dawood became king and became prophet. And Dawood alayhi salam spent all his life of prophet in jihad. Since they entered Palestine, all the other people around fought them, did not accept them. So Dawood alayhi salam spent all his life fighting. And for this, Allah gave him a special thing, which was what? Which was that he could handle iron, cold iron. He could work it as if it was a paste. He could work it with his bare hands. And Allah taught him how to make weapons and how to make shields. So for him and for his army. So this was a special gift that Allah Ta'ala has given him to give him more strength in the war. And after Dawood alayhi salam, so when Dawood died, his son Sulaiman became king and prophet. So by that time, the kingdom was stabilized. There was no more wars. Everything was stable. So in the time of Sulaiman alayhi salam, there was a great expansion. And you know that Sulaiman alayhi salam, Allah gave him the power over jinns. Gave him the power over jinns. وَمَنْ يَزِغْ مِنْهُمْ عَنْ أَمْرِنَا نُذِقْهُ مِنْ عَذَابِ السَّعِيرِ. Whoever disobeys to him, we hit him with hellfire. So the jinns had to obey to Sulaiman alayhi salam. If he tells him stay here, has to stay there. Do that, has to do it. If he disobeys, he will die. The hellfire will hit him immediately. So Sulaiman alayhi salam was using plenty of jinns for public works. So of course a city built with the help of jinns, so that was something great. Anyway, so and Allah Ta'ala gave him all that power you know about wind and all. And when Sulaiman alayhi salam died, he had a son that was king but was not prophet. After Sulaiman alayhi salam, there was no more prophet king. So there were good prophets and there were good kings and bad kings. Some kings were following the prophets, some were not. And some were bad behaving against religion, as we had in Islam. May Allah help us. So anyway, after Sulaiman alayhi salam, the religion went down very fast. So Sulaiman alayhi salam, he hid all the books of magic under his throne, so that nobody can use it and can have access to it. And when he died, the shayateen took those books out and said, this is how Sulaiman was commanding us, because he had all the magic in his hand. And people believed. So some said, so Sulaiman was kafir. And some said, no, if Sulaiman was using magic, that means that magic is halal. And they all started using magic. So anyway, after Sulaiman alayhi salam, the religion went down very fast. And the Jews in Jerusalem, in Palestine, they had a pact with the king of Babylon. And they betrayed this pact. So the king of Babylon came with his army and destroyed the Jews and destroyed Jerusalem, killed plenty of them, and the survivors, he took them as slaves to Babylon in Iraq. And among these slaves was subhanallah, Uzair. Uzair was 10 years old, and he knew the Tawrat by heart. He was Hafiz of Tawrat. in this war, the Jews lost the Torah. They had no more copies of Torah, and the only remaining Torah was in the mind of Uzair. So he went in slavery in Iraq and Babylon. When he reached 40, after 30 years of slavery, Allah Ta'ala gave him wahi that you go back to Palestine and the Jews will come back and Jerusalem will come back as it was. So he ran away from slavery, him with his donkey. He traveled all the way, and as he was going through the mountains, in one turn he saw the city of Jerusalem. And the city, after that destruction, was abandoned, no one lived there anymore, and the dead were not even buried. So imagine a city that is abandoned after 30 years. It has become like a jungle, like a forest. Trees everywhere, things have been broken, burned, people, the corpses lying there. So when he saw this, he was so sad. He was so sad. And he said, أَنَّا يُحْيِي هَذِهِ اللَّهُ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهَا. How is Allah going to bring the city back to life after it is dead, after it has been destroyed? Well, of course, Allah told me to come, and that Banu Israel will come, and Jerusalem will become like before. But how? What can I do alone? One person alone, you can't even build a house. What to say about the city? What can you do? Nothing. Banu Israel are in slavery. How is this going to happen? And he went into a cave in the mountain, just a small cave, to have a rest. And he put his bread, and he had some grapefruit that he crushed to make some juice, and he slept. And he left his food and juice, his bread and juice, to eat when he wakes up, and continue going down to the city. And when he slept, Allah Ta'ala made him die, him and his donkey. And he died until all the bones gone, the flesh gone, 100 years. After 100 years, Allah brought him back to life. Now those 100 years, plenty of things happened. What happened? The king of Babylon married a Jewish woman. MashaAllah. You see, one lady can save her people. And he had a son with her. After the king died, the son became king. When the son became king, after some time, he had pity over his cousins, his mother's family, and he said, I give you back your freedom. You want to stay with me in Iraq? You want to go back in Jerusalem? They said, we want to go back. But some stayed, because mashallah, I've been to Georgia, and there's Jews from that time still there, their descendants. Anyway, so they came back. And they came back, they searched for Uzair, they didn't find him. So they took back the city, they arranged everything, they rebuilt everything became new, everything, as there's no more sign of war, of any catastrophe that has happened here. And the years went by, and the city became beautiful. And that's when Uzair alayhi salam wakes up. And when Allah Ta'ala brought him back to life, Allah made just his eyes and his tongue. And Allah told him, how much did you stay? He said, I said a day, half a day. I just had to sleep. Maybe I've been overnight because I was so tired. And Allah told him, no, you stayed 100 years. And look at your bread and your juice, still fresh. That's a sign of Allah. There was no need to keep his bread or his juice, but just to show the power of Allah. Bread and juice that will only last a few hours or 1 day or two is still fresh. But you have gone, look at and Allah tells him, look at the donkey. The donkey was bones. Even bones were not, were in pieces. And the bones come back, the skeleton, and then the organs, and then the muscles, the skin, and the donkey is up. And Allah tells him, look at your own body. And he's watching with his eyes, his bones coming back, his organs, his muscles, his skin, and he's awake. So what happened to your body in 100 years? Allah made it go backwards in a minute or two. MashaAllah. And then Allah told him, look now. Now he went out of the cave and he saw the city in the market day when the people come from all those neighboring villages to sell their goods, and markets are busy, everything. So the city totally alive. And Allah said, you see, what did you say? How is Allah going to bring the city back to life? You slept and woke up. Here it is in front of your eyes. That's how Allah does it. قال أعلم أن الله على كل شيء قدير. He says, I know Allah is Almighty. So this is how much? The third story in Surah Baqara, where Allah brings the dead back to life. Now the fourth story, I must finish with this one. So Uzair took his donkey, went down to the city. And he was crossing the city, watching people watching. He does not know anyone. No one knows him. If you come back here after 100 years, who will you know? You see some people look like, because they're the sons and grandsons of the people you know. But that's not them. And he went to the religious responsibles saying, I am Uzair. Uzair? After all these years? Yes. Allah made me die 100 years and just brought me back to life now. And there was one lady that was over 100, that was a young girl when he left, that recognized him. And he had the Tawrat. So they had lost the Tawrat. So he gave them back the Tawrat. So when you read the Tawrat, you're not supposed to read the Tawrat, but if you do read the Tawrat, so it starts that in the beginning Allah created the world, and then He made Adam and Hawa and Eve, and then they disobeyed, then they came to earth, and then there was Adam and his two sons, and then there was Nuh alayhi salam, then there was Ibrahim. All this story, you don't know who's narrating. It's not Allah, because He's speaking about Allah. All this is Uzair narrating. So Uzair told him, okay, write down, in the beginning Allah created the world, blah, 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 until it reaches the story of Musa alayhi salam, of Dawood, of Sulaiman, and how we betrayed the pact with the Babylonians. They came, destroyed everything, and we went as slaves. And that's when the narrator speaks of himself, until he reaches his own story, that after that war we have been taken to Babylon, to Iraq as slaves, and up to this day I am speaking to you. And that is the end of the first part of the Bible, which is narrated by Uzair. And then you have another narrator that will narrate another part of the story, another one. So some narrators are prophets, some are kings, some are poets, some are unknown people that have given different parts. And that goes up to the story of Isa alayhi salam, which is the evangel, that's how you say, the evangel. And the same thing, that I was living there, and Isa alayhi salam came, and this, that, what happened. It's just the people that are there, that are telling their narration of the story. So that is what the Bible is. It's not a book of Allah like the Quran, and it's not like the Hadith. It's like the Seerah. It's like the Seerah, life of Prophet ﷺ, life of Sahaba, that witnesses narrate. Now you still need to see how authentic it is. But fundamentally, it's not a revelation. It is the narration of people of what happened. Okay? And there's a nice question that that king of Babylon, who freed the Jews, actually, he is, how does he call again? Excuse me. Cyrus II. His name is Cyrus II. Cyrus II the Great. Okay? Cyrus II the Great. His mother is Jew. So the Jews consider him as a Jew. And they bless him a lot because he saved them from slavery. They are very grateful to him. And Prophet Daniel was there in Babylon. He had many sittings with this king, Cyrus II. So he is the one who is believed to be Dhul Qarnayn. But this is not a great thing. We don't need to know who is Dhul Qarnayn. That will not change anything. But he is the one that we believe is Dhul Qarnayn. There is a story of Sahaba radiallahu anhum, that Abu Bakr sent to Heraclius, the king of Romans. So Rome was divided into two. There's the Rome that was in Rome in Italy, and Rome was divided into the other Rome that was in Turkey. That was not called Turkey. There was no Turks at the time. Turks were in Mongolia. They're Orthodox Christians. So there are the Romans. There are the Romans that the Sahaba had fight with. It was not the Romans of Italy. It was the Romans of Turkey. And that eventually it was the Turks who won them, and all that has become Muslim. Okay? So Abu Bakr sent radiallahu anhu, 2 Sahaba to preach the king, Heraclius, of the Romans. And he received them, and he sent them, he lodged them, and in the middle of the night he sent to call them. And he took them in a room, and he opened a box, and he took out pictures of the prophets, of Adam alayhi salam, and Nuh, and Ibrahim, and Ismail, and this, until they saw the image of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. They said, this is our prophet? And then he took out the image of Abu Bakr, and they said, this is our caliph. And they said, how did you get these images? So he said that Adam alayhi salam asked Allah to show him the images of the prophets of his descendants. And Allah gave him these images. And Dhul Qarnayn, while he was doing his conquests throughout the world, he found them. And he gave them to Prophet Daniel. Since that time, we have these. This is the only story where these photos are mentioned. I did not see them in any other story. But what is the point here is that Dhul Qarnayn gave these photos to Prophet Daniel. You see? So Prophet Daniel was living in the time of Cyrus II, and he is considered to be a Jew from the Jews, and he was loved from the Jews. And so there's no other king there, no other great king except him. So that's why we believe that Cyrus II is Dhul Qarnayn. Anyway, it's not a problem, just a remark. Okay? Now, the fourth story where Allah brings the dead back to life is in one verse of Quran. أَلَمْ تَرَ إِلَى الَّذِينَ خَرَجُوا مِنْ دِيَارِهِمْ وَهُمْ أُلُوفٌ حَذَرَ الْمَوْتِ. Did you not see those who have left their houses, thousands of them run away from death? So it was the Jews again, Banu Israel, and the ulama say it was either hunger, either illness, disease, or either war. So actually we don't know at all what was the problem. But they ran away, they fled away, fearing to die. فَقَالَ لَهُمُ اللَّهُ مُوتُوا ثُمَّ أَحْيَاهُمْ. Allah told them to die and brought them back to life. So all those thousands, Allah killed them all. And Allah brought them back to life by groups, like group of 20 or 50. They will wake up and see everybody dead, and then they see another group wake up, another group wake up. So they will see each other how they are coming back from death to life. And this is just that Allah shows them His power, that you can run away from death. Allah is the one who gives death and life the way He wants. And the fifth story of Surah Baqara, where Allah brings the dead back to life, which is it? Which is the fifth story in Surah Baqara, where Allah brings the dead back to life? أو كالذي مر على قرية. There's the story of Uzair, we've already said it. Which is the fifth story? That's an easy one. It's the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam with the birds. When Ibrahim is asking Allah, show me how you bring the dead back to life. And Allah told him, take 4 birds and cut them and mix them and put a piece in 4 mountains. And then you call them back and they will come. And that's what happened. So what is very interesting in this story is that these 4 birds had to be of different kinds. It cannot be 4 pigeons. And it has to be birds that fly. You cannot take a chicken and a duck and a turkey and that's your birds. No. And there's no market to go buy the birds. You have to catch them yourself, and you have to catch them alive. So that is a problem. I have never done this in my life, but just imagine that you have to catch 4 birds, 4 different birds, and you have to catch them alive. Even to kill a bird that is flying is not easy, but to catch him alive is more difficult. And when you catch the first one, you need a cage to keep him and to feed him until you get all the 4. So it was a big problem. And once you have done that, I don't know how much time it's going to take, but you can make a film of it, how you call those 4 birds. Now, to kill them and to mix them is something easy, of course. Now to put these birds in 4 mountains, it's not something easy because there's no rules. There's no rules. And maybe there's a mountain where people go for outing and for fun. But second mountain, third mountain, fourth mountain is not fun. It's not fun. And some mountains, you cannot go up and come down in one day. You'll have to spend the day in the middle, and the mountain is forest, is wolves, is things. It's not easy. It's not like today. So that was a big problem. So Allah Ta'ala gave Ibrahim alayhi salam a big job to do. Allah could have told him just to kill a sheep and to cut it to pieces and just look, now I'm going to bring your sheep back together, but that's too easy. So that's what I told you, speaking about Surah Yusuf alayhi salam, that the education of Allah is hard. When Allah Ta'ala gives you a lesson, it is a lesson for life. So now those 4 birds you caught, and you went around 4 mountains, and now you say, in the name of Allah, come. And all those sparks will come and stick together and the birds will fly again. All that job you did to catch them, to kill them, to put them in the mountains, in minutes it has gone back to zero. They have gone back flying in the sky. So next time you'll not ask Allah, show me how you bring the dead back to life, because you don't know what Allah Ta'ala is going to tell you to do. So you just believe and just keep calm. Don't ask for miracles and things like that, because you don't know this kind of dua, where is it going to take you. Yet you see how Allah Ta'ala made all this education for Ibrahim alayhi salam, so he will never forget that story. How he asked Allah and all the job he had to do, then he saw with his eyes. And it is needed. When you suffer a lot for something, you really feel the effect and the benefit. But when it comes easy, you can say, I just had a dream. Did that really happen? Because it was too easy. But when you suffered a lot for it, mashallah, you'll never forget it. You'll keep saying it to your sons and grandsons. This is what happened to me. MashaAllah. Okay, so this is 5 stories in Surah Baqara where Allah Ta'ala brings the dead back to life. And why is Allah Ta'ala telling us 5 stories on the same topic in the same surah? It is to show His power and His greatness. And that all the things that we struggle for, food and health and marriage and house, all this is small issues. All our issues are small issues. Allah brings the dead back to life. That is beyond human capacity. That is beyond science. That is beyond understanding. Allah can do it. So what to say if you have debts, or if you have health problem, or if your wife cannot conceive? All that is easy for Allah Ta'ala. So that we attach to Allah and you ask Allah and you follow the way of Allah Ta'ala, and you don't worry about material problems. Well, that's it, inshallah. So inshallah tomorrow we'll see the next subject of Surah Baqarah is what is the logic and what is the link between all the subjects in Surah Baqarah. May Allah Ta'ala help us. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.